Hello everyone, it's Elena back in the hot seat for the Financial Planner Live podcast, and this week I'm joined by Sam Robinson, who is the director of Almond Financial. How are you this morning, Sam?
Hi, yeah, I'm good, thanks. Very good.
Good. So how I like to start all my podcasts is allow people to talk about their career journey to date. So how have you got to the place that you are now? What's your career history?
It's a little bit non-standard. I started off, I left school at 16, actually became a chef when I left school. I wasn't very academic. I didn't really like exams. So I wanted to do something that I could, not do an exam for, really. So I started working in kitchens when I was 14 and left school at 16 and went to work in a hotel and trained up there. And I later went down to London and did Michelin star food in kitchens in London. But I quite quickly realised I really wasn't. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed it, but I thought I had more to offer. And I thought I'm better at dealing with people, and I always like talking to people, especially out of the kitchen after service. I used to go and speak to clients and sit with them and talk to them, and I quite like that interaction. So. And also my mum and dad and my brother were all in finance, and they said, look, you need to put your ideas up and get a job in a bank. So that's really what happened. I bought the mortgage advice book for Christmas one year, and then the rest, they say, is history. But it was difficult getting into the industry because I was a chef, and no one really wanted to give a chef a job in a bank. So I had to do quite a lot of applications, 150 applications into banks just to get a job as a cashier. So but then I joined NatWest in 2012, I think, or 2013, and started off in NatWest, did mortgage advice. Left there, worked for a firm in IFA practice for a couple of years, and then started Almond Financial, and we are here now. So that's a very brief history. Yeah.
It's not particularly linear, isn't it? It's starting as a chef and then ending up as a financial planner. But I think that's excellent because it goes to show all the different avenues that you can take to become a financial advisor. But to start with, you said that you weren't necessarily very academic. You didn't want to do sort of anything that was particularly exam-based. You've ended up doing something that requires you to take a set of exams for you to be qualified. Did you find that a barrier? Did that ever put you off when you were starting to explore things in a bit more detail, or how did you find the exam process?
It was a barrier. I avoided it for many years. It wasn't the first time that my brother said to me, "Get a job in a bank. Leave being a chef." So, but he bought me the first book, and I think it was CMAP 3 or CMAP 2 or something. It was one of those, and I did it. I read it, and I did it because I was annoyed about being a chef. working 50 hours a week, 50 weeks of the year. I'd had enough. So I forced myself to read the book, and I thought, well, I'll go and do the exam. I'll fail it and I'll rule it out. And then I passed the exam, and I thought, right, okay, I can do exams now. And I was interested in it. I wanted to learn it, and I've always been interested in finance. I've always been interested in money. I've always been quite good with money. So I wanted to get into that more, and that spurred me on. To the point now where I got chartered status, 2 weeks ago. Thanks. But it was. I'm not good at exams. I'm dyslexic, and it's hard to learn for me in that kind of environment. So I just have to do more hours. I just have to revise more. I have to revise for longer, and I know that now. So I just apply myself in that manner. And I had a good tutor, a good tutor and trainer and helper when I did my chartered exams. Paul Lucas, he was mega. He made a big difference really for me to be able to absorb that level of detail.
Yeah, but I think lots of people, especially when we're talking about the future of financial planning, and there definitely being not enough sort of individuals coming into the profession, I think because it is definitely very complex, you have to sit all these exams. People think they need to be academic or have done a certain level in their school years to be able to get to this level. So what would you say to those people? Do you think it's not just the academic side that contributes to a good financial planner then?
I would say a good financial planner is probably not academic. A good financial planner can deal with people and talk to people and understand what they actually need and what they actually want out of life, and then to be able to structure everything accordingly. You can learn financial products, you can't learn to deal with people as easily, in my opinion. And I certainly took that on board when I started up with my days at NatWest. I wasn't the most academic. My grades at school were not good. But I learned to apply myself and move forward. And people can always pass an exam and learn it. It's down to work ethic. It's down to your desire to want to learn the exam. If you want to put the time in and the effort in, you will pass it. It's just applying yourself. And I interview on attitude, not on exams. If you've got the right attitude, I can pretty much teach people what they need to learn. So yeah, but I completely don't necessarily. It's not essential.
Yeah.
Not essential.
So, for example, then for people that necessarily haven't been very good at school for one reason or another, aren't particularly academic or have necessarily struggled with the exam side of things, but you are a really good people person, you like speaking to people, do you think sort of financial planning is a profession for that kind of caliber of individual?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you've got the work ethic, you're willing to spend the time and actually apply yourself to exams and not just pass one, do an exam, fail it and give up. If you've got the determination to succeed, you can succeed. But there's so many different elements to financial advice these days. It's not just being able to pass exams, it's willingness to deal with people, sometimes difficult situations, sometimes people in a difficult periods of their life, maybe terminally ill or maybe, very unwell or needing to retire for whatever reason. And sometimes they're challenging situations that you need to be, need to handle really well. And that's a lot harder, in my opinion, than passing the exams. Learning that and being able to do that is almost a gift, I think.
Yeah. So what were the key skills then that you think you'd harbored throughout your youth, and particularly maybe when you were a chef and things like that are actually now key in what you're doing now?
Well, stress management. Stress management is the number one. There is nothing harder than being in a line kitchen at 18 years old with 12 chefs doing Michelin star food, working 60 hours a week. That is probably one of the most challenging jobs I've ever had. And the stress that I have now running a firm of nearly 10 people, it's nothing compared to what I used to have as working in the kitchen as a chef. So being able to deal with stress and handle stress is one major thing, but also directness, just being really direct and really open, really honest, and not talking in riddles, talking like how my clients speak and being able to relate to them and give them the information they need in a way that they want the way they want it to be delivered, is what I learned, because communication is the key. And I learned that being a chef, to be able to communicate things in a quick way, in a very direct way, without going around the houses. And also moving forward, when I was working for NatWest, I thought I was particularly good at speaking to clients and understanding and asking questions from quite an early stage, which I think I've learned throughout my life. But definitely being just straight to the point. I'm pretty direct.
Yeah. So going back then to sort of getting your first role within financial planning, you said you made 150 job applications but didn't necessarily get anywhere.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I made more. That was the first time. So I wanted to be a mortgage advisor, but I was a chef. I was qualified mortgages, but I had no experience in a bank. I had very little experience customer service wise. And so I went to work in a power station on the front desk for a year to get some customer service experience, which was different. But I was applying for mortgage advisor then. And I was getting said, no, and people were just saying, no, even with customer service experience, you haven't got banking experience. So, but I spoke to a lady from RBS, she was ever so nice. And she said, oh, you've pretty much passed the interview, the telephone interview, but you don't have enough points on your CV to be able to give you a job as a mortgage advisor, and I have no other roles to offer you. But what you should do, and what I really recommend you do, is apply for a customer service role, a cashier role, that basically the entry level. She said, because I'm pretty confident you could get that, but it will be a bit of a different role than being a mortgage advisor. So I went back and then started applying for customer service roles, and another 100 later or something crazy, I got offered a few interviews and managed to get a job as a cashier. But it's pretty hard work.
Yeah, because I speak to so many candidates and so many individuals that are really passionate about financial planning, like yourselves. A lot of them have done the groundwork, sat the exams, work really hard to pass those exams, and then they're applying for loads of jobs and they're not getting anywhere. And it is really disheartening, because you've done all that you can do, and all you need really is that someone like that lady at RBS that gives you the opportunity to sort of prove yourself. So what would you say to other people that are in this situation, a similar situation that you are now? How did you persevere over that obstacle?
I just wouldn't take no for an answer. There's got to be a way of it happening. It's going to work because I'm not going to give up. So it was just carrying on and trying hard and not giving up. That was the key. And it got easier and easier as I progressed through my career to be able to accelerate and move forward. But in those very early days, I had absolutely no, there was no movement, there was no progress. So I just had to keep on plugging away and getting that interview. And I had to change my whole life. I was working at a power station, working nights, and I was earning fairly good money working long shifts. And I had to take a 50% pay cut to go and be a cashier.
Oh wow!
But that didn't daunt me. I said, it is what it is. I need to move forward. If this is my only opportunity, I'm taking it. I had to sell my car, and I had to make massive life changes to be able to afford to be able to take such a poorly paid job just so I could work for a bank. And I only had a few months that I needed to progress at the bank, otherwise I would run out of money. So it was massively risky, but it was my only option. So,
short-term loss for long-term gain, though, isn't it? I guess it's about looking at the bigger picture rather than just at the here and now. So, for example, even like moving job roles, you might take a job that's $2,000 salary cut than what you're on at the moment, but long term it's going to be able to offer you the career progression that you're looking for. Did you find that difficult at the time, or did you, because even though we say sort of short-term loss for long-term gain, it can be really difficult to appreciate, I've got to sell my car and things like that. What did you always have the bigger picture in mind? Are you quite a visionary in that sense that you could always look forward?
Yeah, I'm going to do it. There was never a question. As soon as I got the job role, my notice was in, and I was gone. I was going to succeed. And it was hard going into a bank and learning things from learning how to, count cash and deal with the computer system and, balance the safe and, all those little jobs you do when you're in that kind of role. It's completely different, but I loved it. And I had a really good set of people working with them. They really helped me out. They taught me really well. And very, very soon I could get into a bit of a system and getting into the ways they wanted me to work, and very soon I became an advisor for certain products in the bank, the bank accounts and the credit cards and the home insurance, the simple stuff, and very soon I kind of stood out to them, and by very soon I mean I was there 3 months, and they said, you're made for this, so it spurred me on to push harder and quicker to get to a mortgage advisor role.
Yeah. So, and you started in mortgage advice, but then sort of transitioned across into sort of financial planning as such. How did you find that transition? Because I speak to lots of people that, are mortgage advisors that want to go into more sort of wealth management. How did you find that journey from one to the other?
It was a bit of a strange. I never really planned on doing it. Well, I did and I didn't. When I joined the bank, I wanted to be a financial planner. That's all I wanted to do. But then the bank, when I was with NatWest, they offered me a fairly good role in the commercial arm of the bank, and I was going to go for that. And then we didn't really agree on terms. So I thought, well, I probably won't bother with that then, because it wasn't really what they promised. The role wasn't what they promised it would be. So before I went to that, I thought, well, I'm gonna move on. But I'm a bit bored with mortgages now, so I'm going to do my level 4 exams. And I spoke to a couple of people around that I knew that were level 4, and they said, oh yeah, do DIPFA, do LIBF, go for those. You can get good courses, you can get good support. So I thought, right, well, I'll do that. And I, while I was working at NatWest, I then bought the books to that, and I started doing the revision at home in the weekends and the evenings while doing my full-time job at NatWest as mortgage advisor, to be able to become qualified, to then be able to leave the bank, to be able to then be a planner. But I spoke to a recruiter at NatWest, and they found me a job in an IFA practice that needed a mortgage broker, that wanted them to progress to pension advisor, and that seemed to fit really well. So I left the bank and then went to be a mortgage broker, self-employed. So then leaving the bank to go to zero guaranteed income was another challenge.
Yeah, and lots of people find that really daunting as well. Ultimately, as we talked about before, it is sort of that thinking about the long term and the bigger picture. But did you find that jump from an employed role to a self-employed, was that really daunting?
Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest risks, because I was earning quite well at NatWest. I was hitting my bonuses. I had really good terms. I had lovely paid holiday. It's very comfortable. The bank is very comfortable, and I wanted. I had young family, and I wanted to. It was hard. Yeah, it was hard. But ultimately, if I looked back at where I was when I was at the power station to moving into the bank in the first place, this was just a part of the process. I needed to do it. And in those days, I mean, it was only 6-7 years ago. There was never we give you an employed role, or we give you leads, or we give you this, or we give you that. It was you join the firm, you find your own business, and you make it or you don't make it. And that's how brutal it was, even only 6 or 7 years ago.
Wow.
And so I made that. Yeah, I made that jump. It was a tough decision, but I made it work.
Yeah, I think lots of people are on that precipice, on the edge, and they're thinking about, do I do it? Do I not? And I think the fact that when you do look at an employed role and you look at a self-employed role, when you are in an employed role, you do have that security blanket. If I get ill tomorrow and have to have a week off work, I know that I'm going to get paid for the time I've been off. I can go on holiday for a week with my family, and I know that's paid for. But obviously being self-employed has loads of other benefits, is the freedom, the flexibility, even just the reward to being able to sort of build up your own business and your own bank as such. So what advice would you give to people that are on the edge? Would you tell them to just do it? What would you say to them?
Oh, I don't think I would just say do it. It's a very difficult choice. It really is. And I think these days you probably don't need to jump into a self-employed role. I think there's probably roles you could get, as power planners and work up to advisors. And there's a lot more, I would say, a lot more structured and probably safer options out there where you can just take a pay cut as opposed to jumping off the pay cliff like I did. You could probably just take a pay cut and maybe be a power planner for a few years and then build up to an advisor and do it in a way more sensibly structured way. I went for it, and because it was my only option. I had one offer. I took the offer. It was, I'm going to make this work, and there was never a question in my mind that I would make it work. But it was harder than I thought. It was way more difficult than I expected. But that was mainly because the burden of administration and the work behind the scenes, as well as finding the clients, finding people through networking, finding people wasn't the difficult bit. The difficult bit was making sure that I've got the time to write the business and actually do the administration and to do everything myself. And it was just a lot longer hours than I thought initially, but it was worth it.
It was worth. But that's what I was going to say. Ultimately, was it all worth it?
Yeah. In 6 months, I was out earning my wage in NatWest, but for 5 months, I earned nothing. Yeah. So you really have to kind of ride it by the seat of your pants. But I would say probably don't do that these days. Do it in a more structured way. Yeah. Because there are opportunities these days that there weren't available when I was at the bank.
Yeah, there's still plenty now, especially for financial planners. I think once you get to a point where you have really got the ball rolling and you've got the experience behind you, there's definitely some excellent self-employed opportunities out there that will give you the more flexibility, as we mentioned, and things like that. But I think all of them are going to require, as you said, a couple of months of really working hard. But ultimately, as I'm sure your whole career journey to date has demonstrated, is that your hard work pays off if you really apply yourself and you have a picture of what you want to achieve. If you have that worth ethic behind you and the drive, that you can achieve it.
Yeah, and I think as well, my broad offer of services when I was at that stage, not only could I do pension advice, but I could do mortgage advice, and I did protection advice, and I did investment advice, because I could do all of those services, albeit I wanted to focus in the more financial planning space. If I got a protection case in, I could give that. If I got a mortgage in, I could do that. And it gave me that breadth to be able to do the business as it came in, because I couldn't be that selective when you first start. And self-employed is great if you can get admin support, back office support in a self-employed role. It will make it so much difference, because I didn't have that.
And then ultimately you started Almond Financial. So how did that come about? Because I remember just talking to you about it previously, about you started it in your house. So how was starting your own business? At what point did you decide, right, I'm going to do this on my
own? I think it was after a few years of working for a practice and thinking, actually, I'm being constrained by lack of administration support, and I'm being constrained by the lack of flexibility to do it the way I wanted to do it, which I believed was, I wouldn't say better, but more modern and more friction free, I would say. And then I did my figures one day, and I thought, well, actually, if I have my own firm, I could do the same level of business, probably work less because I could have admin support, and I'd probably come out with the same income. because the money I was sacrificing to the practice would effectively cover a power planner or an administrator. And I started it in my spare room at home, and I lived on Almond Crescent, and it was called Almond Financial, and then we started off and grew from there. I got a lady working part time for me who used to be a chartered investment manager who'd retired, and so she did a couple of days a week for me. And then as I grew, I brought a mortgage broker with me who I used to work with at NatWest. She was actually my boss at NatWest. She was my area manager at NatWest, and she got made redundant, and she was the best manager I've ever had. So as soon as she got made redundant, I was like, right, can you come and work for me? I've got loads of mortgage business. You can help me write the mortgage business, and I'll focus on pensions. So that was the first stage, really bringing her on, and then finding a proper, fully fledged power planner that could do everything. Because the lady worked for me was great part time. She really helped me get out of the ground. But I needed someone that could prep reviews and write replacement business, write new business, do protection, and that skill is such a broad skill that I really had to find someone that could fit that role. And that was the hardest hire, because it was just impossible to find someone.
Yeah. And did you find, going from your bedroom to what you are now, was it a lot of scaling up? Was it difficult? Was it all quite organic, or how did it all manifest?
Organic, I would say, but I invested heavily in marketing, thousands a month in marketing. So that was the first thing. Well, I got the office, actually. Me and my friend, he's in recruitment. He specializes in recruiting recruiters. Which is crazy. Who knew they had them? Yeah, I think that's crazy. And we wanted an office together, so we basically hired one ground floor, and we split it into two, and we share it. So it's only small, but there's only me and Emma and Sally at the very beginning. So there's only three of us, and then as we grew, and obviously I do a lot of pension transfer work, and a lot of in the DB space. I did that for a while, and we still do that now, albeit not as much. We soon realized we needed more administration support, and as we got more clients on board, we needed more support in the office. So then I brought in a second power planner, and then I brought in a financial administrator to help us with the amount of reviews we had, which is all kind of growing with clients, acquiring clients online, and acquiring clients locally through networking and so forth, referrals. Albeit referrals were a very small part of our business, because we had a very small business.
Yeah,
it's only probably in recent times that we're actually getting a lot more referrals, because we've got a lot more clients to refer referrals too. So organic. We haven't acquired a firm before. We haven't bought any client banks or anything like that. It's been purely from referrals, and I've been the only level 4 advisor. So apart from my mortgage consultant Emma, who came on board, like I described it after the first year, I've had nobody else give advice. It's just been me really going out there and bringing in the business.
How do you and I think this will be really interesting for our audience to know. I think lots of people would like to be in a position like yourself, where they own their own business. They've got their own bank as such that they've built up themselves. Was marketing a big thing initially, as you mentioned, to get a lot of new business in, or was it a lot of going to seminars, or what for yourself did you find sort of the best methods to go about and generate your business at the beginning?
I did everything. So I did face-to-face networking. I ran seminars, free pension planning seminars, where I used to get 15, 20 people in a room and explain to them how they can calculate their own contributions, and the differences between different schemes, and what they need to look at, and how they need to assess a decent advisor, and what they should be looking for in advice when they're looking for advice, and other risks and things they should be considering at the same time. So I ran a couple of those. They were really good. That was pre-COVID. I had 9 people in one room, and 7 became clients, which was fantastic. But I didn't necessarily push for services. All I did was explain how I do it and how they needed to look at it. And so the seminars were really good, albeit we haven't managed to do any of those yet. I do want to get those back up and running this year, because they were really good getting us out there. Face-to-face networking, things like BNI gets a bad rep, but if you get a really good group of people in the same room, all local business people, all with their own businesses, there's no better way of helping your own clients when you've got loads of decent people in the room that do what they do really well. And then I did other versions of networking, and also we use things like Unbiased as well. We get referrals from Unbiased, and then AdWords on Google, search engine optimization, SEO via our website, and then professional introducers, accountants, solicitors. We've got we've got an accountant, chartered accountancy firm, large one. Don't have their own financial services. We work together with our own clients. They help our clients and we help theirs. And then a solicitor. I work for a divorce solicitor locally who has fairly complex divorce cases that I sometimes expert witness in court and/or advising our clients how to carry on their lives, the next phases of their lives, from their divorce. So every single one of those is important, and I wouldn't like to lose any one of those. But I get probably 7 referrals a week, 6 referrals a week now. So hence the reason why I've got so many power planners.
Do you think then it's about, if you're in the position, or people in our audience that listen to this and they're talking about, or finding it potentially difficult to self-generate their own business, do you think a key thing that you found is dipping your toe in the water in different things and trying different methods, and not just doing, I'm just going to do seminars, or I'm just going to do this? Is it about trying lots of different options and seeing what works for you, or also optimizing them all to the best of your ability?
Yeah. But things like, I need an accountant. I need my accounts doing. I need my tax returns doing. I need, we have clients that have trusts that we need trust tax returns completing for our clients. We have clients with international tax affairs that need to be arranged, and so I need to know somebody that is blooming good at what they do in the accountancy space, who I can risk my reputation referring them to, and know they're going to get a great level of service. And to find, and I changed accountants 3 times to find an accountant that gave the level of service that I wanted. And it was a real challenge. It took me a long time to find an accountant that could really deliver what I felt was the right level of service. And we've had a great relationship with them now for probably nearly 3 years. And they're very, very, very good. So, I have a client who recently sold shares in a European country and exited the business, needed international tax advice, and a very complex case where he was struggling to get advice, and the team there could help. And I deal with directors, and I help them with their directors, and we're soon going to do some seminars together as well, to help, because obviously an accountant and a financial advisor, you don't have one or the other, you need both really. And they come as a package, and we're trying to be that package for our respective clients. So but it's finding a firm that is responsive and wants to deal with you, and can deliver that level of service to your clients, and then you can work together. And for me, it's been one of the best relationships. But also the partner that I work with is a great guy, similar age to me, really, really good at his job, is absolutely on it. He's got a great team behind him. It is the mirror image of what I see myself. And we go for dinner every other month. Every month we go for dinner. We share contacts. It's just really a really good relationship.
Yeah, and it sounds like a really good relationship. It sounds across the board, with all the referrals you're getting, even the relationships that you've got within the team, that you are sort of very client-centric and very relationship-driven, and obviously very good at building rapport. And would you say, from your experience to date, that is a key thing within this profession and within this business? Would you say that? Because I definitely reflect from this conversation that it sounds like probably the sort of most important thing is that you've got to be good at building those relationships, and obviously ultimately deliver the service to mean that relationship keeps going.
Yeah, and it's also about trying to help as many people. We do get a lot of inquiries from they just need a bit of advice, quick bit of a hand, a little kind of nudge in the right direction, or they're thinking about doing something. They just wanted us to reaffirm that they're doing the right thing. So a lot of it is very, very basic stuff that really isn't going to result in a relationship long term, but it's just something to get them to the next stage. So it's not being too selective in the early days, just trying to be open and honest and help help and deal with clients in a really fair manner, where you're not really necessarily having a long-term relationship with every client that you meet, but it's just doing things for the right people at the right time and being really open about it. Has been the main thing to us, because we had a client recently who wanted to go and see an advisor locally, and it was £895 for an initial meeting, and I just think that's obstructive. I think that really is obstructive, and we do a first free initial meeting, and we will remain to do that. I had a couple of clients coming yesterday who looked on Google. They found we had the most reviews locally, the best reviews locally. They rang up, booked an appointment in. There's obviously no fee, no commitment, none of that, and they have a very large amount of wealth between them, and they've never actually had advice before, ever.
Wow.
So they've become clients, which is great. So it's kind of being visible, but being open as well, and open and wanting to see clients.
You said being open is very important to you. Obviously, the fact that you've got that initial meeting, which is free, to stop that barrier, to allow you to sort of instigate that relationship, is important to you. You also said previously that once you left your previous practice and you wanted to start Almond Financial, being a modern firm was something that was very important to you. So what would you constitute as being a bit more modern or progressive as a financial planning firm as such? What have you tried to implement now in your business?
Paperless. That's it. Paperless. Honestly, it's crazy. We type our fact finds straight onto a computer. We don't fill out paper fact finds. We fill out all of our clients' forms over DocuSign. We don't have client files. We hold all of our clients' information in a two-stage encrypted online cloud. And so when I look at a client's document, I could be on the train to London, see my clients in Scotland, and I can pull up documents from a client down south and review that information while I'm on the train. That's efficiency. And efficiency is when we went into COVID and we locked the doors and we didn't come back for a year. My team just took the laptops home, and it's fine. We just carried on, because we had the information in the cloud. We had the systems where we didn't have to do paperwork. And the biggest administration burden I saw in the previous people I've worked for, including NatWest, was paperwork. It was admin. It was physical files that needed to be digital. And we created our own documents through editable PDFs. We've created our documents through online portals, and we've created systems that allow us to be able to be really lean and to reduce those administration tasks the smallest amount of time. Because if you're on a signed client agreement, you have to find the agreement, print it off, get the client to sign it, get it back, maybe post it either way. Then you need to scan it on, then you need to put it on the system. You could get rid of all that by just sending an email. And then you get email back when it's ready, and you save it and it's done, and you move on to the next one. So that one thing has saved us a huge amount of time internally, and things like using the cloud and dealing with our clients using email campaigns to be able to communicate with our clients. So all of our financial updates, all of our market updates, all of our the webinars that we do sometimes for clients, we send it all via an encrypted email to our clients that have our services.
Fab. So that efficiency is obviously very important, and all that paperless stuff and what you've implemented has allowed you to do that. I know from our previous conversations that you cover national, you cover everywhere from the Isle of Skye to Southampton. You're
yes.
clients that cover everywhere. And do you think that paperless, that efficiency that you brought in, allows you to do that?
It does, without doubt. Obviously, video. We did video before COVID, but we only did probably 10% video before COVID, and now we're probably 90% video.
Wow.
Maybe more. And a lot of my clients, I've got clients that run banks. I've got clients that run huge firms, multinational firms in the UK and Europe. They don't want me to have to go to the house, make me a coffee, tidy the house, put the dog away, and have the meeting. Do the small talk a bit, and then fill a few forms in, and then we go after an hour, because that isn't the best amount of time for us to spend. I would rather have a 1 hour call with that client 4 times a year than travel for 3 hours and have an hour's face-to-face meeting. So we can deliver better advice. We can deliver more acute and detailed advice directly with the client really quickly via Zoom. And obviously we like I said when we spoke last time, we have a case management system which we can deal with. We have between 20 and 45 to 50 cases at any one time, spread between 8 administrators, 8 power planners. So effectively we have a system that we can manage all those cases in one go, and be able to give each other's tasks and assign tasks that pull through to diary. So be able to manage workflow has been as important as going paperless.
Yeah, and I think it's really nice to see how you say that clients are receptive to it, because I think some and obviously how it's massively changed, 10% pre-COVID, 90% plus, post-COVID, because I think I speak with individuals that are there like, the virtual stuff is great, but it's not quite the same as being face to face. And I do appreciate that on one level or another, people do like that face to face interaction. But for me personally, the fact that you've got to make sure your washing's not in the living room, and you've got to make someone a cup of tea, and also just the ease that, you can take that 1 hour call on your lunch break when you're in the office, or when you're on the move. It doesn't necessarily have to be really stringent and in the diary. So have you seen clients that potentially you were seeing face-to-face previously now being like, no, I want you to see me sort of on video now?
Yeah, absolutely. And probably that's why a lot of it's a lot easier is one, I knew a lot of them before face-to-face. So when we moved to video, it was kind of, we already had that relationship.
Yeah.
But then the majority of clients we have now, we took on via video. So the majority of clients we have now, we took on through COVID, and so it's moved a lot, where there's a lot of clients I've got now, I've never physically seen them. And we're not talking about, clients with really simple affairs. We're talking about clients that are, multi-million-pound invested with us, and they have very complex scenarios. But I find it better to be able to do video with them. I can make notes, I can prepare, I can get graphs ready, I can get analysis ready, I can do cash flow, we can share the screen, we can be engaged for a really good 1 hour meeting, and I can go, right, let's have another hour in a couple of weeks, because they might go, oh, well, actually, I might as well retire in August as opposed to December. And I'm like, okay, yeah, fine, you can do that. Let me adjust it, and let's have a quick half an hour next week, and I'll just show you what it looks like. And you can't do that if you're in the car all the time. You can't do that if you're spending 2 hours traveling to them, and they're probably 3 hours away. So it allows you to be a lot more, you can adjust things a lot more, and you can be a lot more kind of detailed with clients, which is far better. I will still see the majority of my clients now and again face to face.
Yeah.
Probably not annually, probably biannually.
Yeah.
And I have a family in Scotland that I've had for many years. They're lovely people, and I get the train to Scotland, and we go out for a few drinks. We do our work there. I advise the whole family, and they like to do it over a few drinks. And I'll do that every year, and I'll get the train back down, and that's absolutely fine. I work on the train up there, I work on the train back down, and that will never change. I'm happy with that, but it's efficient. I'm doing 4 or 5 in one go. It's efficient for us, but also if I need to pick up with them individually, just jump back on video with them. So I'm seeing a lot of my clients a lot more than I've ever seen any client. And that's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really nice to know that from your perspective and you as a firm, obviously that the change to virtual has not stagnated the business, but in fact acted as a catalyst for you to grow, and has allowed you to be more efficient, see more clients, not be on the road as long, which really no advisor wants to be, whether it's stopping you from seeing other people, or whether it's just stopping you from going home and seeing your own family. You don't want to be sat in the car for hours. So I think that it's really interesting to know how that decision has really sort of pushed your growth as a firm. Another decision that you made was to go under a network rather than to go directly authorised. Yeah. Lots of people, I think, almost see directly authorised as being fully away from everything else and slightly better. However, working for a network has had, been really good for you. And why did you choose to go under a network rather than go directly authorised?
I've worked for a network before. My brother is DA, IFA. So he's got a firm, he's DA. And I know from being in a network before, having processes and systems, and having an advice process for every single piece of advice that you give is invaluable, because you know that you're doing the right thing, you're following the right process, you've documented the right information, and there's no question that you've made the right decision. And having a pre-sales checked pension switch or complex advice case pre-checked gives us the confidence, the reassurance, and the guarantee to the client that what we've done and what we've recommended they do is the right thing. And you can do that, DA. You can get a compliance manager in. You can get somebody in to do that. But my experience of people that have had compliance managers, they kind of make writing new business more difficult, where you can make where my network, or I'm with Quilter, they have streamlined a lot of the advice processes that make it a lot more friction free, which I said earlier, which is really important to us.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier. And we know what we need to be able to gather and deliver per case consistently to get the right outcome for the client. And I don't believe you can get that well that quickly without being with a network. And things like, my brother has to have an investment committee, and he has to gather an investment committee, which is great, and he does that, and it by all accounts works really well. But I've got people with Quilter that have got far more experience, far more specialised. I'm going to call him out, Rick. Rick Ealing, investment director. He is incredible. He came into my chartered, when I was doing managing investments for my chartered exams, and blew our minds in about 10 minutes. I can't have, if I was a DA, I can't afford him.
Yeah.
He is above the level I can get if I was DA. So I could get him by being part of the network. And it's like that for all of the specialists that we have within the business. And I can't get that as the size I am now and the size I was then. I certainly couldn't afford to do that. So it allows me economies of scale, it allows me access to the market, but it allows me to streamline my processes and be efficient. And I personally see networks as being the way forward. Getting insurance is difficult for DA firms. Making sure you're consistently keeping up to date with what the regulator expects of you is very difficult, and it's difficult, and it's still a challenge in being part of a network. It's not. I don't rescind my responsibility. I still need to be able to make sure I'm up to date and doing the right things for that's what's required of me. But at least I get really good, clear guidelines from Quilter when I need them to be able to make sure that I'm in line with where I need to be. And it's been a huge part of our progress. We wouldn't have progressed this quickly if we were DA. We wouldn't. If I was with other networks that I know of, I don't think we would have progressed this. We just had the right approach, and it was a good way of progressing. And Quilter have been very good for me.
Yeah, fab. And I presume that the Quilter processes, aren't just beneficial to yourself, but to the paraplanners and to the whole wider team behind you.
Yeah, because we can look at a process together as a team of the process that we need to follow to make sure that we've delivered the right outcome, but also we can then embed it with our processes to make sure that we can do it in a way that is efficient, and we can still keep efficiency. It's sometimes not knowing what you need to do, or not knowing if the outcome is going to be consistently correct. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why I use a network. And it's been, we do everything from equity release to pension transfers. Mm-hmm. So we have people in each area, and that is a challenge when every single process, every single requirement is going to change each year from the regulator's perspective.
Your team is growing at the moment as well, and I'm very grateful to say that I got to support you with the appointment of a new advisor that joined in January. So I think lots of other people are working in businesses which they built up themselves. It is your baby. You've started it in the back room, in the room in your house, and now you're getting to the point where you're bringing in another advisor. At what point did you realise I need to bring someone else in to come support me with the advice side, not just the back office stuff?
It was a two-thing approach. My relationship manager at Quilter said, why have you thought about getting another advisor? And I was like, no, I didn't really want to do it. And then we were acquiring, we were taking on lots of clients, and I was getting quite busy. And I thought, even with the time savings, the efficiencies, the Zoom, I could see a time where I couldn't spend the amount of time I was then seeing clients, and it did give me a bit of concern that I might slow down and I might not be able to deliver the levels of service that we're delivering now. And at the same time, Quilter said, we know someone, which was you, that could find me an advisor. That they said, look, we're not asking you to take on anybody. We're asking someone to take on that you want, that you believe in, that will fit in with your business, and we're happy to support you with that to help you bring on other advisors. So obviously speaking to you and asking for the type of person I wanted to see, and then obviously delivering them was kind of too easy, really. And David, the new guy, is authorised, and he'll start advising probably in the next couple of weeks. And from deciding in November to having them approved by the end of February is pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I'm really pleased with it, and I'm already looking, for internally promoting another one or two of my team to start advising clients when we start acquiring other businesses.
Yeah. And ultimately, as you said, internally promoting the team around you is quite important. And I think one thing that we've touched on previously, that I think is a really nice thing to talk to our audience and potential other business owners or hiring managers or team leaders that are out there, is that culture is something that's really important to you, isn't it?
Culture is number one. Culture and behaviour is number one. You can pretty much learn most things, but if you haven't got the right attitude, you haven't got the right, the right personality, then there is no place for you in a business like mine, for a start. And everybody in the firm, we're a young business. We are under 40, all of us. And that is I think that's an advantage. We're all really good at using systems. We're all really good at using computers. We're all technology based anyway, naturally from how we're brought up. So but culturally and from an attitude perspective, we all want to get the right outcome, the best outcome, and there's no middle ground. We want to be the best, and everybody works collaboratively together to do that. And there's no such thing as a bad idea, and there's an open forum with my team to say, if you could think of a way of improving things, let's talk about it, let's do it, let's try it, because I don't pretend to know the best way about doing everything. And certainly now my team are a size where we agree process changes internally through what my team say are bottlenecks that we're having, and so a lot of those ideas that they're bringing to the forefront are not my ideas. So there's no such thing as a bad idea, no such thing as a wrong idea, and we just collaboratively we grow together, and I want everyone to have input in it and to be on the same drive to get the same objective, to get to the same endpoint, and that has definitely been consistent. And that's David had when I interviewed him, he had a great attitude and clearly had already had a great background in what he'd already done. He'd already proven his skills there, and he fit. When he met the team, it was like he was already a part of us. And this is before I'd offered him the role. This is just the interview stage, because my team interviewed him. I had a chat with him, but he went to my team asking the questions. We did a collaborative interview, because bringing somebody in is such a big thing, and we all need to be working together and all to be singing off the same hymn sheet. And that was what I did with him. I just brought him in, and all my team met him. All my team had a chat with him. He had asked them open questions about anything about the business. Obviously that is not sensitive, but anything about our work ethic and how many hours they work. We don't work from home. Well, I do, my team don't. They work 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. They don't do evenings, they don't do weekends, we don't do overtime, and we have, and that passes through the whole business, apart from me, obviously.
And I think cultural fit is definitely, as you said, one part of it is attitude. And I think the fact that you get other members of staff to sit with potential new people you're going to be bringing in, to make sure everyone bounces off each other. Ultimately, I spend more time with my work colleagues than I see my family. At the end of the day, I have to get along with them. I have to have that good relationship. But unfortunately, when I speak to candidates, a key reason that a lot of them are looking to leave is that the culture is toxic. They feel undervalued. They might absolutely love what they do. They might love the kind of the duties that they're doing, the kind of advice the firm gives, but unfortunately if you are within that environment, people will look for something else. So how do you make sure, obviously ensure that you've got everyone's got the right qualities and has the right fit in that sense, but how do you make sure keep that culture alive? I know you mentioned first thing, no one works overtime, you don't work weekends. How do you keep that sort of balance, I guess, that harmony within the team as a director?
Well, we go to the pub a lot. We like to socialize is the word. We socialize together. We know sometimes people might be busy, but we, if there's a birthday, then we'll go out for a birthday. If there's the stag do the other day, and we took Jake out for a little stag, and we do things together, and I pay for that, and I cover the cost, because I think that we do one thing a month. We do something a month as a team, either socially or as a treat. Like the other week, I got a guy in, and he valeted all of our cars, because all our cars are filthy. They're horrible. They're horrible. Yeah, all of them. Everyone's car was filthy, and I saw Sally's car, and she couldn't even see the number plate. So I rang up a guy that I know who does car detailing. He came and parked outside here and washed everyone's car inside and out, and was all day. I paid for that, and it's a little treat. It's not particularly expensive. And it was just getting in a nice car. There's nothing, nice clean car. There's no, I love that. And you clean mine as well, obviously. And then sometimes we'll nip to the pub on a Friday and have a quick drink at the end of play on a Friday, or like we do those things. But also I brought in a benefits package for my team last year. Private medical and death in service and income protection, and better pension contributions. More holiday, and gift days for birthdays, and we've done all of that because also I recognise that the cost and value that the team that I have they're due is getting more and more in the market. You can see that, and I don't want to be in a position where people are trying to poach my team because I haven't kept their packages up with what is in the market, and that's how I'm acquiring people at the moment. I'm getting people come to me because they haven't got a pay rise in 3 years, or they don't get any work benefits, or they're getting paid to do a senior role, but they've got a junior job title, so they're getting a junior pay packet. And that's great. I like that, because that means I can again pick people that are really, really good in their current role, give them what they should be getting paid. But I don't want that to happen to me. But also we brought in pay grades like I had at the bank. We now grade our team every year on their performance to make sure that their performance is in line with what we expect as a business, and if it's exceeded, they get a pay rise. There's no, if you're doing the best and you're outperforming your current role, you deserve more money. That's we don't sit on our laurels, and we're not a firm that kind of a lot of firms, not necessarily like my brothers, but some I know, are just sat on recurring revenue, and they're trying to make their business fit in a certain amount of money. Because no one else and goes and acquires new clients. They don't acquire clients. They don't do a lot of new business, and that's not our business model. Our business model is to take on new clients, to help new clients, and look after our existing clients. And so I'm not trying to get a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, I think the whole thing about the benefits and the culture, I think it can be so overlooked by the firms. As you literally said, then you have individuals that come to you because they see the package that you offer and they want to work somewhere like your company. And I think I can really relate with that with Recruit UK. They offer excellent benefits, and we're a really social team. And ultimately, I think as well as the retention of staff, they're not going to find better elsewhere, so they're not going to look elsewhere. The flip side is that I feel like when your firm truly invests in you, and not just on necessarily a work level, but we also have private medical, we do like lunch clubs and things like that. I feel so embedded in my team and so embedded within the company that I want to perform better for the overall business because of the culture that they've set in place. And I think that's really overlooked by lots of other businesses, and especially as businesses begin to scale up. So I think it's really interesting and really great, to be fair, how you talk about that, because I think with the future and the way that this profession is being very candidate driven, it's not just about the day-to-day, but you're going to have to ensure that you are looking after your staff correctly to ensure that they stay. And then on the flip side, that's only going to benefit you as a company, because you're going to build better relationships with your staff. They're going to be more embedded with the processes, and they're going to be there with you as you continue to scale up.
And we're all invested. We're all invested. We all have to pull our own weight. There's nobody here that slacks. And that is really good, and I believe that is because of the culture. That's because of the rewards we give to the team. That's because of the little bits we get. Some of the things we do are not expensive. They're not. They don't cost thousands of pounds. But it's the fact that collectively as a package, it's really and whether you are the office manager an advisor or the apprentice, you get the same package, you get the same work benefits, you get the same private medical, you get the same, because everybody, we're a team, we're all equal in this team, and we need to work together. And that's a massive, I've seen teamwork in London in the kitchen with 25 chefs. I've seen that teamwork and that bond that you have, and the need to all be exactly on point and up for the job. And I've just embedded that in the business I've got.
Yeah, I think that's really beneficial. I think that's really interesting for our audience to hear how crucial that is, especially when running your own business. That culture and the dynamic that you create through not only the individuals that you bring in, but the things that you can personally do at a leadership level is really important. And you touched on this previously, but one of the things that you also have in common with Recruit UK is that you are a young business. We are a young business here, and I think especially with the sphere of financial planning, it definitely can be viewed as an aging business. So what do you think the benefits are of you having sort of a younger age profile financial planning firm?
I mean, well, I'm not going to retire anytime soon. so you get clients that are 55 or 60 or 65, they're going to deal with me and David, and when we're not leaving, we're not retiring, we're not selling anytime soon. They're going to get continuity, but also my team can deliver communications really quickly, client updates all the time, because we're aware of how important that is, and we do see more historic firms going quiet for 2 or 3 months, and you not really know what they're doing if you've got a case going on, and no one really gives you those updates, and we automate a lot of it. A lot of it is automated through our system. So having that younger firm, embedding the technology and having that continuity going forward is what people are looking for. We take on clients, we win clients on the basis that I am not retiring in the next 25 years.
Yeah.
So you're good.
Yeah, and on the flip side as well, as you talk about, the family in Scotland that you go up and see, and you meet different members of the family, I guess it must be really rewarding, or I personally would find it really nice that a financial planner of a younger age profile is not only be able to see your financial journey through, but potentially your children, and you're going to be able to pass that strong relationship on to your loved ones, because finances are so important, so taboo, that it's really nice that when you build that trusted relationship with someone, they're potentially going to be there to support your children and their loved ones as well.
When you have clients that are younger, they want to normally deal with somebody younger, and I don't profess to be young. I'm definitely getting on, but in terms of industry average, I'm young, and I think when you've got clients that have inherited money, in the early years, in their 20s, and even younger than that, sometimes through trusts, and they want to have somebody there that can help that person when they become responsible for that money, and or when they've inherited that money. They wanted someone that's more like them than maybe like their parent or their grandparent, for example. And the need for that is still there. And obviously when you have clients that are older and they do pass away and their wealth goes to their children, if their children are not engaged with the business, or they're not engaged with that age of advisor, then a firm like mine will be. And that's the difference, because we have that social reach, we have that engagement with clients that are younger than the average. It means that we're going to be there for people that are younger, that wanted to be dealing with people that are younger.
Mm-hmm. And you definitely, Sam, have as I said from the beginning, very non-linear career journey, and what you would maybe necessarily expect. But reflecting from our conversation, and I don't know whether you agree with me, but I'd say a lot of your success as such is down to mindset. It seems like, from the chef days, even then it was, you're in a hot kitchen, 25 of you, you're working hard. It's your mindset, overcoming the barrier of having all those applications and not necessarily getting anything instantly back. It's your mindset, starting your own business. Do you think like your determination and the mindset that you've had has helped elevate you to this point?
Yeah, agreed. But obviously, when I was at school, I failed. So from year 7 to year 11, I was in the bottom set of everything. I failed every class. I failed my whole schooling career. I even went to cooking college and failed that. So I got used to failure. It was embedded in me, and it was my mindset that changed. I was the same person. I had the same ability. The only thing was, if you think you can and you think you can't, you're right. So what do you think? I now know that I can do whatever I need to be able to do, and I started to learn that in my 20s, that actually it's really up to you to be able to do what you want to do, and to be able to completely change my career from failing school to being a chef, to then having to then start a customer service journey, to then even start doing exams, to now be chartered. When I was doing that final chartered exam, and I knew I had to sit in my office at home, and I knew I had to put in at least another 50 hours, otherwise I wouldn't get it passed. And I knew that, but it was kind of like, okay, well, I know what I need to do, I'll just do it. It's kind of, because I know I could do it. And a lot of people might go, well, I'm not revising that long, or I need to go and do this, or I need to go and do that. No, I need to focus on this, and it's one thing at a time. So yeah, I agree. It's all, yeah.
And I think whatever you do, us primarily in recruitment, obviously your profession, I think whatever you end up doing, mindset is so important, and you literally hit the nail on the head. If you have an attitude where you think it's not going to go well, it's not going to go well. If I haven't had a good night's sleep and I come into work going, oh, I'm tired, this isn't going to be a good day, I'm not going to have a good day. But if you flip it round and you come in and you're there like, right, it's a new day, let's see what it brings, like I'm looking forward to these things, you're going to have a good day. And I think your mindset is so crucial. And I think your whole career journey to date has been really inspiring to show that you can come from a position where maybe you might doubt yourself or might not think that you can achieve those aspirations, but you've obviously got the personality traits that we've discussed previously, but also you've got that hard work, that ethic, that drive, that motivation, that vision that has enabled you to get you to that point. So thanks very much for joining me on the podcast this morning, Sam. It's been absolutely lovely to have you.
It's a pleasure.
To talk about your career journey today. And I'm sure that you're going to have a really exciting future as Almond Financial continues to grow.
Thank you.